How big of an impact would making the playoff this year have on recruiting for Florida State football? It's probably not possible. But if playoff expansion was on for 2023, it would be absolutely massive. We're going to talk about that next. Hey guys, I'm TJ Pittenger. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming to the channel. We're going to talk about a few things today, but I'd love to hear your comments below. Share your thoughts. We'll interact down there, and we'll talk about today's topic. Florida State sits at number 23 in the college football playoff rankings. If they win their last 3 games, they'll likely find a way to sneak into that top 16 range. We're a few years away from it, but if a 16-team playoff existed this year, I'd put money on FSU making it. What would that do for the program? We're going to talk about 3 things today. Number 1, why winning out over these last 3 games and making the top 16 to get into the playoffs would be huge for recruiting. We're going to talk about what the top 16 would look like if there was expansion this season. And then at the end, we've got a recruiting nugget that we've learned on a 5-star that we'll share with you guys. First of all, recruiting would be massively impacted by making that top 16 and getting into the playoff. It shows that the rebuilding blueprint is working. For Florida State to have gone from 3 wins to 5 wins to now a top 16 playoff, it shows the trajectory the team is on. Even without the playoff, getting around that top 15 number this year is going to be huge for Mike Norvell and his staff. Be big in recruiting. It'll be big in potentially picking up different coaches that you can lure. You can sell the fact that, hey, we are here. We are established. There's been a lot of negative recruiting that's gone on by other coaches that says, don't commit to Florida State. Norvell won 3 games. He won 5 games. He's probably not even going to make it through this year. This shows that the rebuild is working. The blueprint that Mike Norvell has to advance the program is on the right track. It shows that the climb is real. It shows that you have to trust the process. And it proves to recruits the proof of concept therein, that if you do what Mike says, if you come in and work hard, and you come in and have the right attitude, and you come in and give back, and you come in and give of yourself, you can be drafted highly like Jermaine Johnson and Jared Verse. You can improve your draft stock like Jamie Robinson, like Jordan Travis, like others, and you can win a lot of games at Florida State. The first 2 years were not comfortable, but right now the team and the program is in a much better position. Again, I mentioned this, but it shows that Mike is on the right track. You're trending in the right direction. And again, even without the playoff this year, finishing in that top 15 to 16 is massive for Florida State. Their over-under this year in Vegas was 6.5 wins. They want to play in massive games that have a ton of meaning, and that really is something that you can sell to recruits. Hey, you want to play against the best? You want to compete for championships? We're doing that here. While your rivals are fluttering and right around 500 or maybe a game above or below 500, you're competing for the ultimate prize and the ultimate trophy. That would be massive. It also would show that we still own the state. Florida State took a couple of years off from being the best team in the state, but for the last decade, they've been the best team in the state. Even with the poor records over the last couple of years, Florida State has more wins in the last decade than either Florida or Miami, and they've ascended back to the top of the state this year. Being in the playoff would only solidify that. I want to look at what the playoff would look like this year. This is a projection. Obviously, things could change based on upsets, but this is how I kind of see it shaking out. Maybe we'll go back and look at how close I was. I think Georgia gets the number 1 seed. I think they win out. They win the SEC championship against probably LSU, and they get number 1. This is a coin flip to me, Ohio State or Michigan. I think Michigan's actually been playing a little bit better football as of late. But there's something about Ohio State in that last weekend of November. They seem to find and have Michigan's number. I've got Oregon winning out and getting that number 3 seed, with their only loss being to UGA. And then I got Tennessee sneaking in. I think that a couple other teams that are up there highly ranked now drop. Tennessee's your 4 seed. Michigan is your 5 seed. They lose to Ohio State, but their record gets them just outside the top. It'll be a close loss. I think that'll get them number 5. Clemson will find their way up to number 6 just by virtue of winning the ACC championship, but they're pretty much out unless a lot of chaos happens in front of them. I got LSU at 7. Good year for them, but they just don't have enough opportunities. They'll rise by winning the next few weeks, then fall a little bit by losing to Georgia in Atlanta. Alabama would be number 8. Again, they'll win their next few games. They'll beat Ole Miss, who's highly ranked now, but they're not going to find their way to Atlanta, and so they don't have a chance to really get up there high. TCU, I think they lose this weekend, and that's going to drop them significantly. They'll win the championship, but that'll have them at number 9. Number 10 is Southern Cal. I do think that they finished the year okay, but end up losing to Oregon, and so they'll drop to number 10. Ole Miss at number 11. They'll lose to Alabama this weekend, but win their next 2, so they'll finish at 11. And we've got UCLA at 12. Had a good year. They're up there highly ranked now. They'll drop a little bit, but finish 12th. I've got Tulane winning out. And so beating UCF and then winning their last couple of games will put them at number 13. Utah will lose one to Oregon, but they'll still win the last 2. That'll put them at 14. Florida State wins out. That jumps them up to number 15. And then Penn State is your number 16 team. That's how I think it would shake out this year if a 16-team playoff happened. That's how I think the top 16 will look this year, regardless of no playoff expansion. And so then you've got your games, right? Number 1 versus 16 is Georgia and Penn State. Florida State plays Ohio State in the 2-15 matchup. 3-14 is Oregon and Utah, a little conference action there. 4 and 13 is Tennessee and Tulane. Michigan UCLA is your next one at 5 and 12. 6 and 11 is Clemson and Ole Miss. LSU and Southern Cal at your 7-10 matchup. And then your 8-9 is Alabama and TCU. Bunch of fun games there, but imagine Florida State being able to sell the fact that they go on the road to play in the shoe against Ohio State, a team they're 3-0 against. And Ohio State has not looked like they're unbeatable this year. In fact, Georgia's the only team that I would say is pretty unbeatable. Getting to play Ohio State in that 2-15 matchup would be a ton of fun. You would move on from the 2-15 matchup. I didn't do these for the entire playoff because it would be an upset. And so no telling that Florida State would certainly win. But moving on from that 2-15 matchup, you would then get to take on the 7-10 winner. And remember, we said the 7-10 was Clemson and Ole Miss. Maybe get a rematch with old Dabo at Clemson, but maybe in a place to win that game. And who knows? It'd be a lot of fun. So something kind of theoretical to play around with, something kind of fun to look at. But again, it'd be massive for recruiting. It would be huge for Florida State, not only the program, not only the money that would come in, but to be able to sell, hey, we're a playoff contender. This is the status of the program. This is where we're at. Playoff expansion is coming. And so though it doesn't impact us this year, it will be really big in the future. Hey, I mentioned earlier that we had a brief nugget. This is not anything that I would call breaking news or anything crazy, but I did speak with some people who are pretty close to Cedric Baxter. The 5-star recruit did enjoy the Florida State-Miami game. He wasn't there in attendance, but did watch, was aware of what was going on, liked a lot of what he saw, liked the fact that, they used the big backs really, really well. Trey Benson obviously went off. I think it was good for Florida State that they both involved him in the running game and the passing game. I don't think they did that for Cedric Baxter specifically. I think they just knew that they could beat the crap out of Miami with it. But it works out when you're recruiting a big running back for you to absolutely let a big running back go off on primetime national TV in a big game against a rival. So all kind of good on that front. I mean, kind of need to continue to monitor that situation. He needs to get back on campus, whether that be an unofficial for the Florida game, whether that be an unofficial in December. He needs to get back on campus if Florida State wants a chance to land his signature at the end of the year on early signing day. But positivity, because he liked what he saw when Florida State took on Miami this weekend. That's all I've got today. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. How big would it be? How much fun is the playoff expansion talk? How big would it be for recruiting? How big would it be for the program if Florida State found their way into a 16-team playoff this season? I know it's not going to happen because the playoff expansion hasn't happened just yet, but it's important, I think, for the Noles to win out and get in that top 15-ish, top 16 range anyway for a better bowl, more notoriety, more publicity for the program. But it would be a heck of a lot of fun if the playoff expansion, the 16-team playoff, was a possibility this year, because I think the Noles would find a way to sneak in it. I'm TJ Pittenger. Let me know, again, your thoughts in the comments below. We'll talk to you guys soon. Go Noles.